Calling Pep Guardiola a tactical genius is fair, but calling him a transfer expert? Slam on the brakes. Since 2008, the Lord of the Balds has made a staggering 112 signings across Barcelona, Bayern, and City, spending over 2.5 billion euros. At Barca, only about 9 of his 27 signings became core pillars. At Bayern, he added 15 players to an already champion side, with only 5 truly lasting. The numbers get even wilder at Manchester City, where he's overseen 70 signings with a success rate below 50%. Contrary to the fanboy narrative that he relies on existing talent, Pep is one of the most market-dependent managers in history. For every Haaland or Diaz, dozens of players vanished into thin air after a single season. And that transfer addiction is exactly what we're breaking down today. Do you remember this guy? I'm sure 3/4 of Barca fans threw a party and handed out sweets when Afellay arrived. The late Afellay joined Barcelona in January 2011 from PSV for about 3 million euros. He was a Dutch international who reached the World Cup final in 2010, surrounded by hype as a fast, talented winger who could dribble or play attacking midfield. Plus, the low price made it look like a steal. But what happened was totally different. Pep tried him in his first season as a sub on the wings behind Pedro and Villa. He played about 16 league games but scored only 1 goal and made 1 assist. His highlight was the assist to Messi against Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-final. But after that season, Afellay's career at Barca practically stopped due to recurring injuries, specifically the ACL in 2011, which destroyed his chance to play consistently. After that, the guy went on loans to Schalke, Olympiacos, and Stoke City, never regaining his PSV form or offering anything to the Blaugrana. If you're enjoying these tips so far, take a quick second to hit that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm show this video to more people, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out. Hleb, the player who arrived at Barcelona in the summer of 2008 from Arsenal for about 15 million euros, was among the players in Pep's very first transfer window. Back then, Hleb was a big deal, an attacking midfielder, a pure dribbler. Since he was coming from Arsenal, his style was supposedly close to Barcelona's, so his success should have been guaranteed. The exact opposite happened. Hleb turned out to rely too much on holding the ball individually. Pep's philosophy, as we know, was based on rapid passing and collective play. Why are you coming to limp in a race of sprinters? A midfield with Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, and Messi. Sure, he won the treble, but he won it from the bench. Hleb was a very marginal player. Most of his games were as a sub. Then he hopped on a loan to Stuttgart and a few other clubs, and his contract ended in 2012 without him proving himself. Financially, Barcelona lost 15 million euros with 0 return. The Moroccan defender arrived at Bayern in the summer of 2014 from Roma for about 30 million euros, making him the most expensive defender in Bundesliga history at the time. The deal happened after a very strong season with Roma, where he was one of the best CBs in Calcio. But the problems started immediately. Benatia faced recurring injuries that denied the team his consistency. He played only 15 Bundesliga games in his first season and 14 in his second. Guardiola only relied on him when Hleb or Alaba were injured. Rarely did Benatia impose himself as a starter. You know Pep's style of building from the back, and the high line requires defenders with huge flexibility in passing and movement. But Benatia was slower than required, and his positioning errors showed clearly against big opponents in the Champions League. By the end of the 2015 season, the club decided to sell him to Juventus on loan with an obligation to buy, ending a stint that was supposed to be special after just 2 seasons. Now, moving to Pep's City era, where the splurging and financial waste ran all night long, this time in a new position, goalkeeper. The Chilean keeper Claudio Bravo was Pep's first controversial decision in England. He signed a keeper for 17 million euros to replace who? The club and national team legend, Joe Hart, a fan favorite. The main reason for signing Bravo was his ability to play with his feet and distribute from the back. But the guy, no offense, was making bizarre messes with his hands. He had a catastrophic start. Errors all over the place in positioning and shot stopping, to the point where almost any shot on target turned into a goal. This put huge media and fan pressure on both Pep and the player. Bravo finished the 16-17 season with the worst save percentage among starting keepers in the Premier League. Pep tried to defend him, but eventually washed his hands of him, went to the market that same summer, fixed his mistake, and signed Ederson. Ederson took the starting spot instantly, and Bravo became a backup, playing mostly in cup competitions, where he had some good moments. But he remained far from Pep's trust until leaving for free to Betis in 2020. Pep wanted to replicate Bravo's Barcelona performance, but didn't even get 10% of it. Kalvin Phillips. Someone is going to jump in and say, but Kalvin Phillips isn't obscure. Stop talking nonsense. Listen, mate, Phillips joined City in 2022 from Leeds for about £42 million. The goal was for him to be a direct backup to Rodri or a partner in some games. He was great defensively and decent at build-up, but reality was totally different. In his first season, he played only 12 league games, mostly garbage minutes. He barely touched the ball. Injuries played a huge role. But even when fit, Pep didn't trust his physical readiness or tactical discipline. Phillips is an England international, and the English media doesn't like failure, so they highlighted his issues intensely. Especially when Pep publicly stated Phillips returned from the World Cup overweight. That was a signal from Pep that he lost trust. After that, he was out of the plans, loaned to West Ham in January 2024, where he performed poorly. Pep lost trust to the point of using weird options like Akanji or Stones in midfield instead of him. But Kalvin Phillips is nothing compared to the next one, Benjamin Mendy. Mendy arrived at City in 2017 from Monaco for no small fee, £52 million, making him the most expensive left-back in history at the time. He was part of Pep's defensive rebuild. Mendy came off a dazzling season with Monaco, reaching the semifinals. Fast, fit, and most importantly, his crosses were lethal. Expectations were that he'd own the left-back spot for years. The opposite happened. After just 5 games in his first season, he tore his ACL and missed the rest of the campaign. He returned only to suffer a series of injuries, never playing more than 15 games in a season. Aside from injuries, his disciplinary issues off the pitch made it worse. Missing training, excessive social media activity, and behavior that annoyed the management. Then came the massive crisis in 2021 when he was suspended and faced criminal charges, removing him from City's plans entirely and damaging the club's image. In 5 years, he played 75 matches total. 75 matches for £52 million. What a scam. Now we reach one of the weirdest transfers in history. This player sees himself as perfect and won't accept anything but number 1, but I decided to break his ego and put him at number 2. I'm talking about the Sultan, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan joined Barcelona in 2009 from Inter Milan in one of the strangest and heaviest deals in club history. It cost about €69 million plus Samuel Eto'o going the other way. A massive investment, both financially and in losing a striker who was key to Pep's project. Statistically, his first season wasn't bad, 16 league goals and several assists. But behind the numbers, problems emerged. First, Zlatan's style, based on physical strength and independent movement, didn't mesh with the tiki-taka built around Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta. Zlatan, used to being the star of stars, was literally a spare part in Pep's team. Second, the personal relationship collapsed, especially after Messi asked to play as a false 9, marginalizing Zlatan. Tension rose, and Zlatan famously said Guardiola would talk to Messi but wouldn't look me in the eye. He felt he didn't belong. By the end of the season, the smell of conflict was everywhere. Pep decided to dump him, loaning him to Milan in 2010 before a permanent €24 million transfer. The deal was catastrophic, massive cost, losing Eto'o, only one season, and a direct clash with the coach. The worst signing in Pep Guardiola's entire career, the Englishman Jack Grealish. Jack was tearing it up at Aston Villa, the undisputed star carrying the team on his shoulders. Literally every team in the league dreamed of signing him. You're talking about a genuine Premier League star, not just an average player. Jack joined City in 2021 for a massive £100 million deal, becoming the most expensive English player in history and the most expensive deal in Premier League history at the time. Pep saw him as a player who could add a new flavor to the attack with his dribbling and ball retention. We imagine Pep brought this skillful player to break the boredom of his robotic system, or that Grealish would be the creative spark singing a different tune than Pep's robots. But from the first season, it was all talk. Grealish came from Villa used to being the focal point with absolute freedom. At City, Pep gave him zero special treatment. He forced him to adhere to a strict plan of rapid passing and role rotation, making his impact very limited. He looked handcuffed and shackled. The numbers we expected to rise, they tanked. In his first season, he scored only 3 goals and made 3 assists. Even when he improved relatively in the treble season, the massive price tag remained a nightmare haunting him in the media because his contributions were far below the investment. And after we almost gave up on seeing him return to his creative best, he was loaned out to Everton this summer, which was basically an admission from Pep Guardiola that the deal had failed, big time. You know what's funny and sad at the same time? From the moment he moved to Everton, we started seeing the touches and flair of the old Grealish again. And this, Pep, gives us the answer. The fault was definitely with the washing machine.